Welcome to Wow or Women of Worth. It is ideas that matter to women of worth. So every week I try to invite on the show people who I think have ideas that will absolutely wow you. Today, there are hosts of schemes and grants that Singapore companies can benefit from. But whether you simply haven't been made aware of all these schemes or grants, or maybe you find it difficult even to penetrate or understand the language that these schemes can be framed in, we are here to change that tonight. Two women have a dream to get their fashion collection targeted at female bikers off the ground, and tonight we're going to find out what could happen when we add possibility maker Angela Sim to the mix. The two women are counting on a crowdfunding event with 100 of their close friends to help them launch their first full collection, but maybe some of the advice that they'll hear from my guests in the studio could help them, and I certainly hope it'll help you cut through the complexity of benefiting from the available funding there is here in Singapore for small and medium enterprises. And I understand SMEs make up about 99% of all enterprises here in Singapore. So that's a lot of potential use out there who could benefit from tonight's program. Welcome to Possibility Maker, Angela Sim. She's ROI Strategy Managing Director. How are you, Angela?
Good evening, Michelle. I'm fine.
It actually does say Possibility Maker on your card, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Do you think that knowledge leads to business success?
Knowledge is one part of business success, but you must also know how to apply that knowledge. And a lot of times, I graduated from NUS with a business degree in marketing, but a lot of times I find that knowledge just is knowledge. And after that, you have to wend your way through the jungle out there and figure out what works best.
So this is what ROI strategy does. Tell me a little bit about how ROI strategy grows businesses.
Okay. ROI strategy was started about 7 years ago in 2007, and the vision for the company was to help SMEs to get grants from the government, which is why we came up with the name ROI, because it means obviously return on investment, and it also means king in French, le roi. Yeah. So we wanted to help to build SMEs to be king in the industries.
And to understand all the funding that was available to them. And in order to do this, I understand that you would walk that path and actually try to get the funding yourself, so you would understand how these schemes worked.
Yes. What happened was, when we first did our research, we realized that there were 250 grants in Singapore, which was mind-boggling. And out of 250, it's really tough for business to go through all of them, and of course some of them are sector specific, but we found some grants that cut across the board for the companies. And personally, because I'm interested in how these kind of funding schemes worked, I put my company through them, and I think to date I've got like 9 grants already.
Wow, we're going to hear about those 9 grants. So Angela started her company 7 years ago with a friend with $5,000, and she cut up all her credit cards. And that's one of the first lessons you'd like us to learn about business from your own journey, isn't it?
Yes. What happened was I told myself that I only needed $2,000 a month to survive. Obviously, it helped that I was relatively young, unmarried, no mortgage, no car. So I cut up all my credit cards. Yeah, that helps, really helps. And so I cut up all my credit cards, and I said, let me give myself like 7 years. I was 28. And what happened was, I was working for an MNC that was recruiting retail sales people, and SARS happened. And I had all these guys who were in their 40s, who were MBA holders. They were all begging me for a retail sales job that paid like $1,200. I looked at them and I looked at myself and I said, I don't want to be in their shoes when I'm 40. And I realized that the world was changing. So I thought maybe I can do this outside of work. I'm 28, give me like 7 years. I'll be 35. If I don't make it, I can always go back to the workforce at 35.
So you had saved up $2,000 for yourself to last for 7 years?
No, I didn't save up $2,000. I'm not a saver. But what happened was I realized that it wasn't too difficult for me to earn $2,000, and I would just have to work hard. You know, you work in a retail sales job, maybe you get $1,000+. You do a bit of I don't know, some part-time work online, or do some writing work, do some tuition. So you knew you
could support yourself
I knew
up
I could
to
support
2,000.
myself up to 2,000.
And for financial prudence, you thought, I'll cut up my credit cards. But that turned out to be a bad route if you're going to be an entrepreneur.
What happened was, after 2 years of declaring a $24,000 salary, I realized, and I was doing that. Obviously, when you declare a 20K salary, you don't have to pay tax, right? So that sounded like a really good idea at that point in time. But what happened was 2 years later when I started the business, I realized that I needed some funding and I wanted to get my credit cards back and I couldn't. Why? Because the banks need you to have a minimum of a $30,000 salary. So what happened was I kind of suffered for another 2 years and the months really crawled by, but I made it. And after that, I thereafter declared a good enough salary to get a credit card. That was really funny.
That's a terrific life lesson. In just a while, we're going to have with us here online, that is, joining us over the telephone, one of the founders of a very interesting startup. And it's based on this idea of, I suppose, a passion for fashion to women who want to get their fashion collection targeted at female bikers. It's a bit of a niche. And we're going to find out a little bit more about how biker chic can benefit from ROI or Angela Lim's strategies for them. Stay with us.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
Welcome to Wow, or Women of Worth. I'm Michelle Martin. So many schemes out there. You might be a small and medium enterprise wondering, how can I upgrade my capacity? How can I improve my productivity? Or you might be early on in the life cycle of a business thinking, I just need some funding to really get going. Joining us on the line right now is Adele Sim. She is one of two dynamic women behind Biker Chic. They have a dream to get a fashion collection targeted at female bikers off the ground. I have to say that is a very unusual market, Adele.
It is. But at the same time, I think there's plenty of women on bikes that just don't have enough stylish options, and neither do they have functional clothes that actually help them keep safe when they're on the bikes as well. So we decided, hey, you know what? We like being on bikes. We like looking stylish. We want to make all these other women look stylish as well. And if nobody's going to do it, we're going to do it.
Terrific. Good luck. I'm going to hand you over to possibility maker Angela Sim from ROI Strategy. She's a managing director. And let Angela work her magic on you.
Thank you. Hi,
Thanks,
Angela.
Michelle. Hi, Adele.
Hi.
Okay, I just need to find out, when you started this biker chic company or business, what's your vision at the end of the day? You want to conquer the world? You want to collect 500 million population in biker chic clothes, or
what's the vision?
I think the overall vision is we wanted we wanted to celebrate the fact that women was moving into a space where it was very male dominated, right? But at the moment we're seeing a huge increase in women riders, and really we just wanted to make the world prettier, right? Women on bikes look stylish, we want them to be fashionable but not compromising on price tag, for example, because right now all that's available to them is like men's biking clothes but in smaller sizes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's a huge gap that needed to be filled, and really that was the primary goal of setting up Biker Chic.
Okay, and what would you do for your business Biker Chic? How are you planning to market it?
So we were looking at the crowdfunding option, and I think with crowdfunding there's a lot of merits to it as well, because it helps us cycle through our marketing plans and be really, really ready for it. So we are in the process of getting a photo shoot and a video shoot going, and really it's just to package it into a 5 to 7 minute pitch, at the same time targeting the industry people and friends of the biking community to take a look at.
And I'm just going to jump in. The goal for the crowdfunding event is to raise $15,000 to enable Biker Chic to fully launch its range, correct?
Correct, yeah. We've come up with the one size of our entire collection. Now we've just got to proceed to produce the other sizes of the entire collection so that when women come to take a look at these clothes, they can try it on and then place their order. So that's really what the $15,000 is going towards.
I think crowdfunding is a great way, because out there, if you can raise that $15,000 from 15,000 people, $1 each, you already have a market of 15,000 people. But beyond that, how else would you be promoting it? Through what channels? Online or through the departmental stores?
Yes. So the main area that we're going to work on is actually an online store. But more importantly, we want to actually go out and do fashion events. So we're going to take it to the street and bring this fashion to the women who would just make time, once a month just to come visit with us and try on the clothes and see how it fits on their bikes and all that. Yeah, so that's essentially what the plan is at the moment.
Okay. When do you intend to launch this, actually? Your crowdfunding event?
It's looking like it's probably going to happen within the next 60 days.
Next 60 days? Oh, cool. That's fast.
Yes, we've been planning it for a while, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, let's talk about some of the funding options that you might be able to get. How about that?
Okay, yes, please.
Okay. Have you started looking at grants on top of crowdfunding, or you're just too busy looking at crowdfunding? And
No, not at all. I mean, I did take a look at the grants, but there's nothing that seems... There's so many grants out there, right? And,
yeah.
they're very specific to either the very young or the very old.
In terms of business, okay.
Yeah, in terms of business. So you've got the entrepreneurship grant if you're like 26 or under. You know, you can tap on the grant for matured workers who are 40 and over. But
Gosh, are you finding that age is a limitation when it comes to grants?
It seems to be. There's the big ones that are publicly available seem to be targeting bigger corporates, right? And for the startups, it seems to be targeting tech startups. So we're in a little bit of in a strange spot because we're not sure which applies to us and where to start looking. But maybe, Angela, you can help shed some light there.
Okay, yeah, it can be daunting when you first start looking because all the websites are all full of grants and sometimes on the websites that are available, the information is not consolidated. And even then when you go in, they'll say, okay, for more information, please call this number. And then we call the number, you get a really junior officer replying you and the fellow says, please go and look at the website. It's
Not all grants, of course.
It's happened to me before. I was like, I just been to the website, they asked me to call you, and now you're asking me to go back to the website.
Okay, so we're going to end the runaround here. The buck stops with Angela tonight.
Okay, I think for startups in general, you have a few options. There is the IRAS is offering the Productivity Innovation Credit, which a lot of people are talking about.
Yes.
It is called PIC.
Yes.
And that is very easy to get. Okay. The second grant that you can consider is from Spring. It is this thing called the ICV Enhanced, which is ICV means Innovation Capability Voucher, which helps you to do a bit of innovation and develop your capability as a business. So these are the two grants that are available for all companies. And I would say that the ICV Enhanced grant is actually more for startups than the PIC. But hear me out first, okay? In terms of the ICV Enhanced, the government will give you a $5,000 voucher times 2. That means you get 2 vouchers. You get 5,000 to do 4 things. One is in a technical enhancement, which involves equipment plus software purchase. Another one is in professional services, where you get people to train and consult you. One part is in design and renovation. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, anyway, it's roughly just 3 to 4 because they've recently changed some of the guidelines and they've merged the hardware with the software together. But anyway, every business is entitled to 2 of these $5,000 grants. And it covers things like a website. It also covers things like an accounting system for you. And it also covers, if you have a little storeroom that you need to buy shelves and fixtures for, it will cover purchase of the shelves and fixtures.
So Biker Chic does not have a website and it could look to this grant to help them get one?
Yes, correct. So if you don't have a website, you could get a pretty funky and decent website for $5,000 these days with an e-commerce capability and all that, right? So that will help you when you get it started.
Adele was talking a little bit about, age barriers, age being a barrier. Is there sort of an age barrier for the ICV?
No, there isn't. The minute you set up your ACRA, when you register a business, you can wait a few weeks for ACRA to link with the Spring system, and then Spring will have the company number in their system. Then you can apply for the grants. Okay, and it's relatively easy to get. They will reply you within a few days, and within a week or 2, you should get a notification whether it's approved or not.
You had a question, Adele?
Yes, I did have a question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
With the ICV, a 5,000 voucher, do you have to... Okay, so the whole process can be a little bit confusing, right? So you apply first for permission, basically to spend up to 5,000 on your website, then you get the approval, then you go ahead, or do you spend first and put it in later for reimbursement?
Okay. For the ICV, you have to get permission first, then go ahead and purchase your website.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask everybody to hold the thought because we're coming up against a hard break. We have to head to the news. Adele, hold the line. We're going to find out more. Can Biker Chic get off the ground with Adele Sim's help? Adele Sim is ROI Strategies Managing Director. Joining me is a co-founder of Biker Chic, Adele Sim. We'll continue in WOW in just a bit.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
Welcome to WOW, or Women of Worth. I'm Michelle Martin, possibility maker. Angela Sim, ROI Strategies Managing Director, joins me in the studio, and she helps firms cut through the complexity of benefiting from the available funding and grants here in Singapore. And I've decided to play matchmaker and link her up with Adele Sim, one of two fabulous women who have started Biker Chic, and it's yet to be launched, so we're the first to hear of it. And what they want to do is reach out to female bikers with their fashion collection. So Adele was sharing a little bit about what the company's vision was, and I believe you have some more advice for them, Angela. And by the way, this business clinic is open to you as well. So if you'd like to call through with some questions for Angela, you can at 669-11938 in terms of grants that could perhaps apply to your company. So call through if you'd like to be part of the business clinic, so to speak. Angela, first of all, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you.
So you've heard about Biker Chic. You have any more advice for them?
Yeah, I think where we stopped just now, we were talking about the ICV that Adele can apply to get her website up and going. And Michelle was also asking me whether I thought a website was crucial to a business these days. And I think yes, because it's a marketing tool that works for you and you don't have to do anything about it once you set it up. In the past, if you wanted people to know about your business, you invite them to your office, right? Right now, you just tell them about it, say, hey, go to my website. And people need to see something to believe it. So you need to build that reputation, that visibility for your brand. So yeah, use the ICV grant to get the website going. And Adele also mentioned that there were some ICVs that are a little bit more complicated because you need a consultant involved. Yes, those were the ICV schemes that Spring launched in 2012. But in 2014, they launched the new ones called the Enhanced ICV, of which you don't need the consultant involved. All you need to do is tell them what you want to do and get the quotations and say that these are the quotes that I have. I want you to support me in these quotations, and you should be able to get your approval.
Okay, I really don't like acronyms. Can you tell us what ICV stands for?
Innovation Capability Voucher.
Okay, yay. Okay, so that's one form of funding that Biker Chic could benefit from. There's another, yeah?
Yeah. The best part about the ICV scheme and the PIC scheme, if you know how to use them together, Adele, is that if your website is going to cost, like, say, $8,000 and the ICV voucher, the voucher only funds $5,000, you can take the balance of $3,000 and put it under the PIC scheme.
Awesome.
Yeah, so instead of getting just 60% off your website, you end up getting maybe 80 or 90% funded.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll definitely try that.
That's one. You also mentioned that there are some grants out there that are like for older companies or etc. etc. It's true, a lot of the grants out there tend to be for more established companies. But if you think about it, it's because the government is also giving out to businesses the hard-earned money of Singaporeans, right? So they have to be aware of what businesses they fund and they support. So they would prefer it if your business had a track record of, like, say, a year or 2 years, to tell them that you have a business idea that is working, it is profitable, and it would change the world in your own small way, okay? And they also don't want to just throw money at every other business. So therefore, the bigger kinds of grants out there in the market, the maybe $20,000, $50,000 grants, tend to be open to businesses that have at least a 1 to 2 year track record in operation.
Okay, so in your opinion and with your knowledge of all the grants, what else do you know is available for a startup like Biker Chic?
At this point in time, it would be the PIC and the ICV. ICV is because it is open to any business as long as you have a registered ACRA. For the PIC, you need to have a minimum of 3 employees. And just take note that the employees can be part-time staff. They don't have to be full-time working for you. And it's very helpful as a startup. You might need someone to do some data entry for you, need someone to do a bit of research for you. So start thinking of how to employ them.
And you mean by part-time staff as in they can come on for a month or so?
Yeah, they come on for a month or 2
Project
weeks, 3
basis.
weeks, project basis, yeah. As long as you pay them a CPF, your company will be eligible.
Okay, terrific. Well, all the best to you. Adele, would you like to tell us a little bit about your crowdfunding event and how listeners can, maybe be part of it?
Well, it's we know right now it might happen as early as 23rd September, possibly. But we just want to make sure that all our materials are ready to go. And when that happens, we will have the information available on our Facebook page. And if you want to look for us, it's Facebook, and then just search Biker Chic with a spacing in between. And then we're also working on a website, but we'll get that link published as well on our Facebook page.
Terrific. Well, all the best to you, Adele, and may bikers continue to be chic because of your efforts.
Thank you, Michelle.
Most welcome. We're continuing here on WOW with my guest, Angela Sim, ROI Strategies Managing Director. Now, you help companies grow at different stages of the life cycle. You've helped bigger companies as well. What would be relevant to them if they have, say, more than 5 staff?
Okay, the other grant that I like to talk about right now is the Work Pro grant, because I think it really helps companies to relook at the employment policies, and they're trying to get the seniors back into the workforce, as well as mothers who have left the workforce and they want to come back. So the entire Work Program tries to make it easier for the companies to get these people back. One of it is, under the Work Pro, there are 4 sub-grants, okay? The first one is called the Age Management Grant, of which if you employ more than 5 mature workers, mature meaning 40 years old and above, and pay them a CPF, they need not be full-time staff, they can be part-time staff, because technically if you're like maybe 60 years old and you want to work, you kind of want to work 2-3 days a week, right? Then you're eligible for that, and the government pays you $20,000 to implement policies that would help you to integrate these senior workers into your organization.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
That's great encouragement.
It is great encouragement. And very good ROI, obviously. If
Do you have to hold on to these 4 employees over 40 for a stipulated period of time?
Right now, no. But quickly apply for it.
Of course, it would be ethical to do so.
They might change the rules soon.
Gosh. And I just want to tell listeners out there, you can't see Angela, but she's really, she knows these schemes inside out. She's just going off the top of her head here. She's not referring to a bunch of notes or anything like that. You're on a roll, Angela. So go ahead. You were talking about the Work Pro scheme, and that was just one aspect.
That's one aspect. The other aspect is a job redesign, of which you can get up to $150,000 for redesigning your workplace, in terms of making it easier for your employees to work.
You mean physical redesign?
Physical redesign, yes. And of course, it involves some consultancy, because you need to get a consultant in to tell you how to lay out and maybe raise some of your benches or lower some of them, so that the mature staff that you have will find it easier to do their work. So this is mainly for maybe factory layouts or big shop fronts, you know? Yeah. And the third grant is called the Work-Life Balance Grant. It's called Flexible Work, WFWI, Flexible Work Incentives. I personally like this one very much because it encourages employers to consider installing part-time work schemes or flexible work schemes for the organization, so that the employees can tap on it. And if you're talking about flexi work, you can look at letting your staff come in between 8 to 10 instead of at 9 o'clock, and they can leave between 5 to 7. That's one form of flexi work. Another one is to allow them to work from home twice a month. And if you buy a laptop for them, the laptop is fundable. And the third one is to do a part-time thing where they come in for 2-3 days a week, and you can also do a job sharing thing where the staff shares the job role with another person. So these schemes make it easier for non-traditional workers to come back to the workforce. For example, you may have a mother with 2 kids. She can only work from 9 to 1, or she can only work from 3 to 5, for example. So these kind of schemes make it easier for them to come back.
Well, we continue with WOW. We look at health programs that could be funded by the schemes that Angela knows inside out. We'll tell you more about what they could be and how they could benefit your company after this.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
She helps companies cut through the language and the complexity when it comes to grants here in Singapore. Grants that you could use to grow your company. My guest this evening is Angela Sim. She is ROI Strategies Managing Director. Tell us more about what's available out there if a company wants to make sure that its employees are healthy.
Okay, yes. There's this grant called the Workplace Health Promotion Grant by the Health Promotion Board, obviously, where you will get up to 90% funding if you put in place health programs for your staff. Okay, they will cover stuff like doing a health screening in your office. You can get the nurses and all that down to do blood checks and cholesterol checks and all that for your staff. You can also get a fitness trainer to come and give your staff yoga lessons or jazz lessons or salsa dancing lessons. You can also get a nutritionist in to teach your staff how to cook better for their families. And it also pays for corporate gym memberships. And if you buy a weighing scale or yoga mats for your staff, also funded. Yeah, so the HPB has come up with this scheme that funds 5 aspects of health, because they believe, and I also believe, that health is not just one singular aspect. So it covers all the way from nutrition to equipment use to know-how.
Can you share with us some of your case studies of businesses that you've helped grow with your understanding of funding in Singapore?
Well, most of them I help with the Work-Life Balance Fund because that is something that I am passionate about, and I want them to put that scheme in place for their own employees. So we help them to get the laptops and help them to set up the policies and send the staff for training so that they understand what work-life balance is all about and how they can implement it in their companies. Yeah. So, other kinds of funding, for some companies, they go through a branding kind of funding where they increase their capability in marketing and they have a better vision. There was one company that I helped, and it was really strange because he had 8 staff, and we went through a rebranding exercise where we did this thing called the brand pyramid, and we went up to the level that says, so if this company was a person, what kind of person would it be? All the staff responded, dependable and solid. The boss stood up and he's like, when I started this company, it was meant to be fun. So we
That's when
erased
he went wrong.
everything on the board and we restarted it. And the minute he said that, there was so many ideas from his staff. They were like, oh, we could do this and we could do that and all that. And, the company was already running for 3 or 4 years, and that entire exercise was just worth it because if not, he would be going one direction and his staff would be going in another direction totally. And that was why the business wasn't as active as it could have been.
That's how you brought the business back on track.
Yeah, we brought that on track. Yeah, so that was fun.
It's always fun talking to you. Angela, thank you so much for coming in and being part of WOW. Angela Sim is ROI Strategies Managing Director. I call her the fairy godmother of businesses. She is known as a possibility maker on her card. Always good to talk to you. And thank you for being part of the WOW Club. I hope you walked away with some great ideas on how you too could benefit from the available funding here in Singapore.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the WOW Club on 938 Live.